I am going to bring up Loni Stark, our Vice President of Content and Commerce.
Welcome. Good morning, San Jose. Good afternoon, good evening to our fellow in-person events in Bangalore, Sydney, and Basel, as well as online everywhere. This is by far one of the most exciting Developer Live events because we are at a transformational stage in what we call the Agentic Web. This is where the brands that we work with, the companies, the experiences we're building is transforming two ends of the things we build. First, it's changing the audiences we build for. So not only are we optimizing experiences for people, but also for AI agents, machines. And that changes, I think, how we think about development innovation. And the other way that AI is transforming is in the way we work, how we develop, what tools, what collaborators we have in the AI space to help build these experiences. And it's reshaping all of these aspects, which is a key thing, a key through line in this Developer Live event. I've been in the industry now for over 25 years. I look at this as way bigger than the evolutions we've had around when we first went online and the web was created, to what was cloud, what was social, generative, and now what we're talking about is the rise of agentic AI. And I was here in Silicon Valley. I moved here from Canada in 2000 at the heart and the heat of the .com era. And this by far feels way bigger than that. How many people would agree? How many people have been here, right? And what's fascinating is I've been playing with AI myself as well, and it changes everything from ground roots, the hardware that you spec for these systems, to what you build on top, to how you think about operating systems, applications, and even, frankly, the philosophies around what it actually means to be human. So it's so transformative, both in the experiences as well as society. And at the root of it, when we think about innovations as developers, at the heart of it, it is transforming the way that brands interact with customers online. And the front door is changing in two ways. People, consumers, their behavior is changing. You and I, we've been on ChatGPT. We're not alone. There's 800 million weekly active users on it. We're going into other LLMs like Perplexity, Google AI Overviews, and we're starting our conversations around problems, challenges, product discovery there, and then coming into an interaction with an experience that you and I may have built. It's also changing what kind of information that the website needs to produce, not just for humans, but also for machines now. These LLMs read, synthesize what is happening. And so this is changing how we need to think about the development of these experiences. And we're building essentially for two completely different audiences, humans and machines. And we have this idea that humans need, in fact, in this agentic era, need even more emotive, amazing experiences. I almost call it the Disneyland effect. It's like people aren't sending their agents to Disneyland. You go there, and so the human experiences that we develop need to be that experiential, that gives people reason to come and interact and have those direct relationships with companies. But also, the machines want the structure. They want the information. They want the facts, statistics. I sometimes say that humans aren't going to read, for example, a 2,000 line item FAQ, but the agents will, and they'll synthesize that into their knowledge base. And so being able to drive that duality is going to also change the way that we need to work. And as we have been observing this in our product and engineering team, in the ways that we work, the ways and these experiences that ultimately need to change for humans and machines, we have, and it's exciting to share with you, and you will see it in the follow-on sessions, Adobe's vision for the brand experience system for the Agentic Web, okay? And how you want to think about this, right? If we start at the bottom, we have Experience Manager and Adobe Commerce. And there, rooted in that, is the enterprise context, the tools, the application, the data, the telemetry. All of that forms the core of the context needed for both humans and AI to form a complete intelligence system. These are all, right, accessible, callable, and actionable by both human interfaces, applications, as you've seen, such as Experience Hub, where people can go in and richly look at operating, right, Experience Manager Commerce in collaboration with AI agents, which we'll be talking about more as well. At the same time, being able to ensure that AI agents and AI becomes a first-class citizen on these applications as well. And being able to orchestrate it, being able to connect not only to the innovations that Adobe has, but also through our partners, to be able to orchestrate them to do useful things that enable experience generation, experience governance, experience optimization. So we worked, in fact, last week, I think it was, we hosted some Adobe champions here at headquarters, and one of the fun exercises we got them to do was say, imagine what it is that are things you do every day that you know is taking up your time, that is the mundane, that things that if you could get done faster, more automatically, you'd be able to be more creative, productive, strategic, and deliver even better experiences. And we got people to write down Post-it notes of like things they wanted. And what was magical was that some of the agents we're going to be talking about today map to some of the things we wish that we could have AI help us with as we operate, innovate, develop on Experience Manager and Adobe Commerce. And then, of course, making sure that it is secure and trusted and governed as the web becomes the content and meaning center point for a brand for both humans and AI agents. And what's really important is in our vision, we're not just providing these agents, but we're also surfacing them in real-world business challenges and use cases in application surfaces. There's LLM Optimizer, which we announced just recently, which is about driving brand visibility and being able to take actions on it to increase your visibility and trust in what LLMs, such as ChatGPT, Google AI Overviews, and Perplexity is talking about your brand. So this is working in conjunction with the experiences you're developing, the content generation capabilities you're putting into the system, to then connect it and see the impact of it in these LLMs to represent your brand well in those conversations. There's Site Optimizer, which is really about automation, that continuous optimization of the human interactions on your site, which becomes even more important because when someone lands on your site, it's almost like the long tail content and experiences are going to be important. In fact, I have a personal website that I just did audit, and it used to be that 20% of your content drove 80% of the traffic. Recently, I did an audit of my personal site, and it's flipped. So what's fascinating is that the long tail, like 80% of 90% of the traffic is driven by 80% of the content. There is content that's out there in different ways, and that requires different ways of being able to develop. In the 25 years of innovation, what's also important on this journey that many of you have been with us on is that you've been part of this journey. And what's important is as we continue to innovate and evolve for the Agentic Web, we are also making sure that all of the experiences and things that you have created come along. And what's important is our announcement of these AI services and agents are going to be able to deliver value and work with all of the cloud install base. So that's managed services, cloud service, and edge delivery as well. On top of that, I'll say that in a world where people can generate a lot of code and experiences and all that, and we have the opportunity to 10x our productivity, to really be able to do more, what I think is true still is that trust. That trust in being able to make sure that these systems are governed. And so the other initiative I think is really important that I'm really proud of that Adobe has been a founding member of is the Content Authenticity Initiative. So this is also about being able to make sure the experiences we build, that there is that trust signal that comes from a cryptographic provenance that something actually came from a particular brand. And we have seen a lot of generative AI technologies out there that create fakes or create things that are looking very real. And so being able to discern what are those authenticated experiences that we're creating, those brand experiences, are really important. So these agents are not only helping to increase productivity, creating great experiences, but are also grounded in that trust. So that, I hope, gives you an outline of where we've been, where we're going. Today, it's an exciting lineup. We're going to have Mark Szulc unpack the agentic evolution and go into that in a bit more details. Cedric Huesler and Martin Berge, if you've seen on LinkedIn, Cedric posted a really sneak peek of his slides for today, and I think he's really going to take you through what is the agentic evolution of AEM. And I would say this is the first time that we have gone from our development to really showcasing what we've been up to. So you guys are going to be one of the first folks here and online that are going to see what we've been up to. And then Lars will do a challenge us on a coding agents showdown, which I know will be interesting. And later on, you'll see in demos, action, commerce, brand concierge, and some of our optimization products. So each session builds on the next. But before we get there, I want to invite someone who I've had the pleasure of partnering with over the last, I would say, 15 years, David Nuescheler, who is now the VP and fellow here, and he's done a lot around innovating. His latest brainchild has been edge delivery, but I know he's also been working on commerce innovations and some of the additional telemetry that we have. So I want to invite Mr. David Nuescheler on stage with me. Hey, great to see you. We saw each other yesterday. Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to, it's kind of interesting because we're going to have a celebration a little later, but it's been 15 years since I've been on the journey around Experience Manager and then Commerce. This feels like the early days again. So as you look at what's been happening now and the innovations, how does it compare to like 2000 when you were like building, and coming with HTTP standards and all that?
Yeah, no, I think it's exactly these seminal moments that make me think back to how it was and the journey we've been on and how many disruptions or paradigm shifts we've gone through. And it kind of takes me back, and I was thinking backstage to the mid-90s where I was like literally coding CGI scripts in C and trying to figure out what this thing is all about. And I think the web by itself is the OG disruption, if you think about it, at least in my timeline. It definitely changed how humanity works as a whole, right? And then if you think of all the things that have taken place in the journey to where we are at right here, from like mobile, right? It's like, I mean, giant disruption. We all run around with our cell phones attached to ourselves, and or even public cloud as a giant disruption. And this is what makes me really excited about the disruption, the AI, Gen AI, agentic disruption that we're looking at right now, because each of these disruptions, they brought some massive opportunities for us, for our customers, for our partners, to the plate. And I think it really is exciting to see where this is going. Is this tectonic shift massively different from anything else? It sure feels like that. It feels like on the scale of the web, which I think is a massive change to humanity. I think AI has the same potential.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is with AI, it's almost in itself magical, right? I remember the first conversation I had with an LLM, I was like, wow. But also, all the things we've done, like the APIs, right, we put into AEM, or all that gets it ready so that humans and agents can act on it, right? If none of the web existed, I think AI wouldn't be so transformative. Yeah. But because of it, it's in place.
Yeah, and I think the web and the platform infrastructure that we built with the web is the basis for AI to exist, right? The reason why we can build these LLMs is because people can scrape the web, really.
Yes.
Right? That's where the starting point of all of that is. So providing the platform infrastructure that allows you to have humans interact with you as a brand, or with you as a website provider of whatever shape you want, is as important as having that platform open to the bots, right? Yeah. To the robots that come and scrape things. And I think we clearly, as you stated, we clearly are in a shift where we from the original web, which was clearly human focused, to like more and more SEOs, bots, and so forth. We're getting to a place where there's more and more importance to our human consumers of the content that is provided. And it's so exciting that the CMS industry, for all of those transformations, has been kind of at the core or very impacted by all those tectonic shifts. And I think this is going to be the same with the agentic web.
Yeah, I actually, what I really enjoy in our conversations, as we discuss, hey, where everything is going, David, is that you're not just looking at it as what's next, but also playing with the tools, right? And it's remarkable how quick the standards have been starting to form, and innovations. Like every week there's a new announcement. And I've even gotten into kind of playing with it, because it's important, as all of you know, to fully understand it, you need to do. So as you've been playing around with AI in your development cycles, and with also the new capabilities in AEM that we're going to be showcasing and having labs around here, what have you found most interesting in the way you work, and also some of the innovations we'll be announcing and showcasing here?
Yeah, no, I think there's obviously the let's paint everything with an AI brush approach to things, but I think there are some really functional pieces in my personal workflow where I realize this is stuff that I couldn't have done before. It would have taken me a lot longer to do. And it starts with the obvious things, like, for example, translation, right? Translation, which a lot of our customers that have multilingual websites have a problem with. AI is just really good at translation, and that's a great thing to be able to delegate to. Then it goes into things that, as a developer, and I think a lot of us use, is like the coding assistants and coding agents, and the code completion has just gotten a little bit better, a little bit bigger. But then we have the coding agents that can do autonomous tasks at a relatively large scale in a reasonable fashion. And one of the things that I want to, I know that Lars is going to show a lot of the coding agent stuff to a degree that blows my mind, but there is also something that I want to foreshadow a little bit, which is site migrations and imports, right? If you think about it, you have an existing whatever site, however it has been created 5-10 years ago, and you need to extract all the valuable content and and recreate a new modern site off of this. This is something that is really very tractable at this point, and it's something that I had a great experience a couple of weeks ago when I first tried one of the demos that you're going to see on a real world customer site that I had. So there's a lot of things that are really very practical, are really taking a lot of the drudgery out of the daily work, and I think on top of obviously all the top line future things that we could be doing, I think this just for me as a developer makes life a lot easier.
Yeah. What's interesting is across our teams, we've been making this shift, as you are probably as well, becoming really getting deep with the AI, the new tools like Cursor, with Claude, etc., and looking at how does it accelerate the way we'll be able to build and develop and innovate. And because of it, some of the things you'll see, right, really connects not only to the AEM tools that you know today, but also can be accessible through like GitHub, through Cursor, etc. And some of the hands-on labs actually will work with that. So I think you'll see that we're bringing these AI agents and everything to the development workflows that you have. And that's really because our developers are also doing that as well. But one of the things that we found hard is the context. So like you were saying, okay, the context of this site that I want to migrate, or the knowledge of where the latest capabilities in AEM from a functional perspective and from a context perspective. And so that's an area we try to streamline. So bring the context, bring the AI native tools sort of together, and that really speeds up work and innovations. What's an area that's really exciting to you as you see the future of where this is going?
Yeah, look, so I think the space is moving so quickly. Things are, from standards to model evolution to whatever, things are moving at a crazy pace that I've never seen that in my career, how quickly things move. And it's like every couple of weeks, the world that we live in has changed, which is super interesting on the one end, but also confusing, obviously, to people. So I think the one thing that I'm super excited about is jumping into this crazy journey with our customers and our partners, because I think we all need each other to figure out what's going to happen. I think anyone who makes a prediction of like where we're going to be in 5 or 10 years, it's like, I don't know how much value this is, but I know exactly that if we work together with partners, with customers, with our developer community, we will get the same great output or the same great result that we had from all the other transformations that we've gone through in the past 25 years.
Yes, I agree. Well, thank you, David. I think I agree with you. I remember being in college and learning about how people did machine programming, where they went from one registry to another.
Hey, I did that.
And we had like AS400, and some of you are like not old enough to remember that. But I feel like this, like prompting natural language is a higher order of sort of programming, and it's going to unleash another like level up in terms of the kinds of experiences we're going to create. We're going to look back at the website today and go like, that's like an AS400 experience compared to where we're going to be able to go, because AI agents are going to take care of some of the more sort of ground level things, and we're going to be able to level up in terms of the experiences we've imagined. Thank you, David, for your leadership, your partnership, your collaboration, and I think we're both excited about the conversations over the next couple of days worldwide. Thank you, David.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay. So, this is going going to be so exciting. And I am excited to introduce Mark Szulc, who's going to take us through the agentic evolution. Mark, all the way from Sydney, is here to join us in San Jose Live. Mark, let's welcome him to the stage.
Thanks, Loni. How are we doing? Whoa. Do you want to see some innovation? All right, let's do it. So I have the great privilege of sharing with you some of the exciting innovation that our engineering teams have been cooking up. We've been walking through this for some time. But just think about the journey we've been going through. Loni mentioned this. I remember back in the day when AEM was delivering M.dot sites for mobile, and it was cloud ready, and now it's cloud native. What is this next journey as we think about AI and how we can really start to leverage that? You heard that the web is now not just for humans, and we need to think about agents that are coming to our sites and our experiences. But we also need to be thinking about our internal users, our production teams, our content authors, you as developers, and how we can make your life better as well. So what that really means is when we're building these experiences now, we cannot drop the ball on the core fundamentals, but we can look for ways to automate and optimize and accelerate what we're ultimately building here. The team have been working hard on these new AI services and agents that I'd like to share with you. We're making these available where you are: managed services, cloud services, edge delivery services. And we think this is really exciting for both our commerce customers and for our Experience Manager customers. So let me walk you through some of these exciting innovations. Let's start with the very core foundation of AEM and how you get to the current capabilities. We have a number of APIs within Experience Manager. For some time, you've been able to do anything you want, but you'd have to know Java. You'd have to go and write the code. You'd have to go and deploy it. You'd have to wait for a pipeline to complete, etc. But progressively opening up these APIs in an open manner. Now, adding just recently the ability to create and update a page, being able to deliver content fragments. In fact, there's so many more APIs that are directly available on developer.adobe.com right now that you can go and interact with in your language of choice and go and call these APIs. So we see that there's a lot of excitement here to be able to get to that core functionality of Adobe Experience Manager. Now, beyond that, at Adobe Summit this year, we launched something called the new Content AI Foundational Services. What's exciting about this is it's not just having a content management system that stores your content and delivers it, but actually understands the content that it's storing, which means you can index the content, query the content, and work with it and create new experiences. We've been using these APIs, these core foundation services, within the product. You may have seen the semantic search capabilities in our assets product. You may have seen generate variations to be able to remix content and provide different variations of content as I'm working through and doing experimentation. And we're adding more capabilities, some of which you'll see today. But the key thing is, again, is that we're making this available via API that you can extend into your own workflows. We think that's really exciting. Now, let's move on. What are we doing? Well, you may have heard of something called MCP, or Model Context Protocol. It's been about 12 months now since Anthropic defined this as a standard, and we're seeing rapid adoption across the industry. I want to walk you through 4 use cases where we can see you taking advantage of this. The first one, especially for everyone in this room, is how we think from a developer perspective and speed up our workflows. Being able to leverage the models, etc., the coding agents, to build blocks, build components. We're seeing actually pretty good awareness of that. But just last week, Adobe was the first CMS vendor to actually release dedicated AI skills to make it easier to make sure you don't just get advice, but you get accurate best practices on what a component, what a block should look like. And excited to see that being released and available to you now. But also think about the way we produce content. Imagine when you think back to when you first used AEM and there was these different UIs and you had to learn the page editor. Now it could be universal editor. You might be using document-based authoring. As easy as we've made that to onboard, you still have to think about that concept of, I've got to go to the content source. I've got to make that change. I have to go and do that. Think of the brief that you get when someone says to you, can you go and update the homepage and just change the title to say, Welcome to Developers Live? Imagine if you could just say that to the CMS now. Go and update the homepage and change it to Welcome to Developers Live, and you're done. That's the new way that we can start thinking about interacting with our content systems, that we can give them the brief and we can get that out there. So content production, and you'll see some of this in just a moment, is an exciting area of how we can start to use these new interaction methods. Merchandising, same thing. I want to update my commerce store, update my product catalog, query it and work with that. New capability coming to Adobe Commerce as well. And then we're also thinking about the consumer experience. So chat is great, and multimodal is, of course, is really good for having interactions. But we have consumer experience. We're all trained into having very visual, interactive patterns. And so experimenting with ways that we can bring some of the widgets, some of the functionality that we're used to on the web directly into that chat experience as well. And in fact, reuse some of the capability that you're already delivering today on Experience Manager into that experience. So you can see here, I am looking at, for a t-shirt, it's actually bringing the product catalog to me. I can go full screen. I can very quickly see the comparisons. And this is AEM experience being delivered into that chat. Cedric and Martin will talk about that in more detail later on. Now, when we think about commerce, there are 3 areas that we're really starting to think about how we can help with product discoverability as well as conversion. And we've mentioned LLM Optimizer, a new tool to help you increase your brand presence. But from a commerce perspective, you want to make sure that your commerce catalog, your products that you're actually promoting are actually exposed as well. So a lot of innovation in areas where we're enhancing those products to think of those particular use cases. And also when someone comes to your site, think about the way that they can interact with your products and work through and optimize your site as well with commerce enhancements for Adobe Sites Optimizer. Now, what I'm excited to share with you today is we're announcing 5 new agents dedicated to Adobe Experience Manager. This is really exciting. This is adding to the number of agents that we have based on Adobe Experience Platform. And these are purpose-built agents dedicated to the workflows of production and experience delivery. We think about these as extensions of your team. They're co-workers. They help you get jobs done. They help you get faster. And they can orchestrate tasks. But they're trained on the capabilities that are needed to actually produce these experiences and promote them. We're thinking of a number of use cases to initially add the skills to each particular agent. The first one is modernizing and bringing into an AI-native discovery, being able to ingest content and be able to query it as fast as possible and speed up those workflows. We also want to make it easy day-to-day for you to go and create more and more content. What are we learning about the way we work with agents is they're hungry for deep-level content, not just the summary pages. So the more that we can actually extract the messages out of our team, our product owners, and put that online, we can speed that up. Of course, we want to make sure it's optimized. We've got the right content, it's in the right formats. We're thinking about accessibility and brand and performance of speed, etc. And so we're focused on these deliveries, these workflows in the first pass. So what defines an AEM agent? As I mentioned, these are purpose-built around a specific outcome. We're not building a generic framework. We want to make sure that the agent has a task that can assist with you on day one. We're keeping you all, the teams, in the loop, but in the back seat. You don't have to be steering and controlling every function. You can give it a task and have it come back to you with the results, with the transparency you need to trust the output. Best of all, you don't have to go and re-platform to take advantage of it. We'll meet you where you are on managed services, cloud service, edge delivery service. Now, what does this look like? Where do the agents surface? Well, it could start in Adobe Experience Manager, and these will show up as within the AI assistant. But we also believe that they need to be where you are, where your users are. So you'll see a number of logos on the screen. We'll see some examples in a moment. I could be in Jira updating a ticket and being able to call on an agent to help me with that process. I might have my own agents that I want to interact with as part of a broader workflow. All of these agents are part of the family within the Adobe Experience platform that allows us to pull from other Adobe products into the workflow and continue it into Adobe Experience Manager. All based on standards, MCP, and agent-to-agent as well. So when we come back to these use cases, we think of how do we produce experiences faster without compromise. I want to walk you through a few items of some of these agents before we get into the first demonstration. The Experience Production Agent helps you update content faster and make sure it's on brand and ingest that content. We have the Governance Agent that protects your brand by enforcing rights, permissions, and compliance. The Advisory Agent, which acts as a content strategist and a search partner. We have the Content Optimization Agent, which optimizes media and experience performance dynamically. And then finally, especially for this room, the Development Agent, which it helps you troubleshooting, doing build automation, and ultimately getting to that great experience. So to bring this to life, let's bring our first demo onto the stage. Shankari. Welcome, Shankari.
All right. How many of you are excited this morning? Woo! All right. Thank you, Mark. This is not just the coffee. I am so excited to be able to share this with you this morning. And it's not just going to be me. I want you to hear for when you hear the thunder today. So starting first, what Mark said. I'm going to start off with the first surface, which is the AI assistant within the AEM and Adobe ecosystem. So for all you developers out there, how many of you spend a lot of time troubleshooting pipelines? So let's start by taking a look at that and how we want to make life easier for you. So what you're seeing right here is Experience Hub. So from here, let's go straight to the AI assistant. Now, normally, this is an example of a pipeline that's had a failure. Now, let's look at the before and the after. I can just go to the assistant and say, hey, troubleshoot this pipeline for me. While it's doing its thing, normally you would have looked at this, you would have downloaded the log file, you would have gone to the file, opened it, tried to parse all of the stuff, find where the errors are. And, you know, because you guys are so smart and so good at everything you do, you would have taken the time and figured it out. But in the meantime, this is what the assistant will do for you. It's saying, hey, I looked at this thing. Here's the thing. Here are the pipelines. These are the ones that have the failed status. And which one would you like me to troubleshoot? So I can say, this is the execution ID. So I can say this. So now it's going to troubleshoot it for me. And while it's doing that, you can imagine it's going to tell me by looking through the log files where the errors are. It's going to make recommendations on exactly what I may need to do in order to fix it and be able to run that pipeline again. Of course, what I'm seeing here is the demo gods not working with me this morning. Maybe we'll come back to this in a bit, but I will be able to show you, there you go. So right here, it says, hey, here's the errors that we found. This is the full file that we looked at. Here are the problematic lines, line 57. Not only that, it's giving me remediation steps. It's saying, you can fix the syntax here. Here's the before and after correction. Really, really getting into the details, making your life that much easier. So how many of you are looking forward to using the assistant to help make your lives better? Woo! I'm hearing the thunder clap. I hope you do. OK, moving on next. This is an example of I'm a marketer, I'm in Jira, and this is what Mark said about Adobe meeting you where you are in your context. So I want to make changes to this page. I can just, normally I would have given my instructions in Jira, worked with my engineering team. There may be a sprint. I wait a few days, a week. They do their thing. I come back, look at it, and that's how many days it takes. Now, let's take a look at this. This is the attachment, and it says here, hey, these are the changes I want to make. Does anyone want to tell me, maybe make a change to this? Right now it says change from Australia to camping and banana. And I know that's trying to be funny, but if anybody wants to shout out a change, I'm happy to make that edit here and add that in here. Any takers? Canada? There you go. So right there, I save this. And then bring this into, I edit this file, add that one. And I save it. I want to make sure that the one that I looked at, oh, no, it didn't take that change. Sorry. Try real quick here. One more time. Oops, sorry. Add that. That doesn't show the right. Let me just get it straight from here. No, it didn't save it. Let me save it real quick. There you go. There you go. Save that. Okay, so now I just go into my Jira here, and I say, hey, agent, process what's in here. And while it's doing that, this is what it looked like. So now it's going to tell me step by step what it's going to do based on what it's reading in my attachment, in my annotations. It's working on that. And it's kind of cool. It'll go through all the steps. It'll tell me what it's doing. It's already started working on this. It's telling me that, which is kind of cool. And it can tell me where I can go to see. Now it's already started. It's doing step 1, step 2. And you get a preview of all the other steps it's going to do. It's going to upload the images, copy the existing pages, and so on. And it doesn't actually take that long, especially if you put into perspective what I just said. It might have taken you a week to work with the engineering team, for them to come back, and then you look at it. Now it's done. Guess what? I can preview this. There you go, Canada, just like you wanted. The best part is it's saving it as a version. It is not doing anything that would freak anybody out. You have a version, you can look at it, you can review it, and then you can choose to approve it. Gotta love this, right? Now, my final and third demo for the day is, the thing that you've all been hearing about. So I'm going to jump over the exciting bit that you're going to see later on today, which is the from Figma to your site. So just imagine that that's happened. Now that that's happened, the hard, heavy weightlifting has happened. Now your team wants to finish the finer changes. So you can come in here, this is what it looks like, and you can say, hey, I want to make some changes. I want to change the background of the hero. I want to do some stuff to the call to action, all this stuff. So I can just do it through my Experience Production Agent right there. And you see how it was to begin with. And now it's telling me, OK, I've got your changes. Let me make these changes. I'm going to use these colors. I'm going to make sure there's contrast. I'm going to swap the stuff. It's already done the swapping. It took the image from the right to the left. You can see that. And while it's working on the rest of it, making the text higher in contrast and so on, let me show you some of the stuff that's happening. If you go to the code, it's already highlighting where the changes happen. So you don't have to struggle with, hey, I want to know exactly what happened. It's all highlighted right here for you. And the preview, you can take a look at it as it's making those changes. Tell me you hear the thunderclap. Come on. You got to love this, right? So right there, I love it. And you can go straight and you can say, hey, I want to push this code because I saw it. I approve it. And you can say, I want to push these codes to my Git. Select where you want it to. Confirm. Voila. That's it. Think about how much easier that is. I am so excited. It is not the coffee. It is what we have to share with you. I hope you get to get your hands on these tools as soon as possible. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Shankari. What do we think, right? That's exciting. I mean, the amount of drudgery process. Can you update this headline for me? We can start to offload that and focus on the fun stuff, the things that are really going to raise the bar as far as the actual experiences. Now, these agents will be available in 10 days' time. So late November, we're planning to make them available to you so you can start testing these out. But we're not done. Let's get into the next section here. We want to up-level our site experience. So the site itself is starting to hum. We're speeding up our workflows. How do we think about the consumer? And we're all using LLMs now. We're all chatting. We're getting used to that experience. What happens when you come to our site and now I have to go back to wading through pages, etc.? So how do we start to bring that experience in? At Adobe Summit, we announced something called Adobe Brand Concierge. And Brand Concierge really allows you to exactly that, up-level that experience. So rather than me talk about it, let's bring on our next demo presenter to bring it to life. So let's welcome Cecily.
Okay, hello everyone. Let me just make sure the demo is up and running on screen. Okay, so for today's demo, so welcome to the Brand Concierge demo. Today we're actually going to take a look at an example implementation of Brand Concierge live on adobe.com. So you can actually check out experience yourself. We are at a limited traffic, about 10% on the .com homepage, and then we're also at full traffic on the Creative Cloud web homepage, which I'll show you. So, so now imagine you're the developer for adobe.com, and you're being tasked to solve a key challenge on the site, which is how do we help visitors to quickly find the right Creative Cloud product for their creative needs? So if you're not familiar with Creative Cloud, it's apps such as Photoshop or Adobe Express. So a visitor might come onto adobe.com and say, hey, I really want to make a wedding invitation. Which app do I use? So these are like frequently asked questions for which it's, if you can imagine, different visitors have a lot of different use cases. So it's a great use case for developing a conversational AI to help cater to respond to visitors with a variety of different questions and needs. So, so first I'm going to show you the runtime demo, and then we're going to switch over to go under hood to look at how to configure some of these.
So as a developer, what are some aspects you might want to think about when you're configuring or tailoring a conversational AI for your brand-owned digital properties? So you might want to think about the different aspects of of the user interface, how you want to guide the visitor to interact with the concierge. Do you want to add suggested topics? Do you want to add different type of image card to really inspire user to see what it looks like? So this is an example where you can have different types of UI implementation customized and configured according to your brand's needs. So, and this experience here I'm showing you on the Creative Cloud homepage as an example. So back to the homepage. Let's say you're a visitor and you start interacting with the concierge. It takes you into this conversational view. OK, which apps can actually help me combine, retouch, and remix my photos? So brand concierge is thinking and providing a response. Now, when a visitor comes in and asks a very high-level, open-ended question, for which we see a lot in conversational AI. Of course, we expect the user come in and say, "Hey, I need all these type of specs." But in reality, they come in and say, sometimes 1 word, 2 words. Edit photos, something like that, right? And then, so where do you go from there? You don't really know which app is it that you want to, is actually best for the user. You might want to decide how to help the user to narrow down to an ideal option. So, and you might not have all the answers up front. So this requires customizing the conversational flow. You might also want to think about what is the brand tone and voice that you actually want the concierge to converse with your visitor. Do you want to take a playful and creative tone, which well represents Adobe's tone of voice, or do you want to take a very serious and formal approach, right? So these are some aspects to think through. You might want to think about how to guide the user to next steps. So for example, do you want to take them to an ideal landing destination that's a product detail page? Or do you want to provide source citations that helps user compare the different option that's being proposed here so they can help understand and make further considerations by reading about topics that they're interested in? Do you want, and it's also very important to provide a feedback mechanism so that your user can actually help you improve the quality of the conversation over time. So, ability to gather this type of data and then being able to process that and fine-tune it in a simple and streamlined format is very important for conversational tuning. And then do you want to provide suggested topic, right? And so this user looks at the different options and say, hey, I really want to, I really want to learn more about Photoshop. So at this point, the user wants to ask more questions, and the concierge is thinking and processing. And one thing is that, you might want to detect the intent of the user. At some point, are they becoming more serious about a product and wanting to learn more about that product? You might want to create a, sorry, I just did something. Okay. I think the monitor just unplugged itself. Sorry. Can I get tech support help? Or OK, it's back. There it is. OK, so as I was saying, you might want to provide a call to action to the user and say, hey, if you're really interested in Photoshop, do you want to take a look at some ideal plans and pricing? And this is an ideal stage of user consideration for a user to consider different type of plans and pricing and subscribe. So these are all different types of consideration as you are thinking about customizing a conversational AI for your brand's property. And Brand Concierge can make it easier and faster to go from idea to launch. So now I'm going to take you under the hood and show you some of the configuration that can be done within Brand Concierge within the Agent Composer product. So, this is the design time interface, and the configuring Concierge includes 4 simple steps: creating a Concierge, adding your brand's knowledge sources, define the Concierge skills, and customizing your brand expression. So for this demonstration, I'm going to demonstrate a view that's being pre-configured so that we can go through the key details. So for example, for the knowledge sources, so Brand Concierge supports Adobe Experience Manager out of the box. And you can also add the brand's web URL or product catalog over here. So yeah, so the web URLs can be provided and added to the Elicit dataset, and that becomes your own brand's data that you can provide to the concierge so that it always has the most accurate information. And you can add your own product catalog with a specified product URL link as well as destination, and so they can all be customized and configured according to your needs. Next, we're going to configure the skill set, for which, there's some errors here. All right, so we're going to, yeah, so lots of errors here. But the product advisory skills is a skill defines what a concierge can do. So these are unique customer journeys for which the brand concierge can customize the conversational flow, and you can look at we can provide details such as training concierge on business rules, or if you want the concierge to follow things such as prioritizing a certain recommendations of product or manage governance or out-of-scope scenarios. Next, we're going to look at the brand expression, for which I've mentioned earlier, brand expression setting is where we make the concierge sound like your brand. So you can choose tone and style such as, do you want formal or casual, and do you want, serious or playful, do you want calm or enthusiastic? These are brand tone dimensions that are backed by user research, so you can easily configure these for your conversational AI. You can also customize the response length from concise, moderate to detail to cater the conversation to your target audience. Now, once you finish the configuration and the initial setup, you can preview and share features so that it's easier and to share for feedback. This enables quick iteration for improved accuracy. So for example, this is actually a simulated runtime environment in the preview for which you can actually interact with the concierge live, and it's spinning in the background. If you ask them, I want to touch up and enhance my photos, it actually generates a response so that you can quickly make changes within the concierge and iterate for feedback. So you can also look at the mobile view, so you can toggle back mobile and desktop to check for responsiveness. Once you're done with iterations, you can have this share link for which you can actually send the web link to your teammates so that they can provide their feedback, and you can collect those feedback and continue to iterate on the concierge. So that is the iterative process. And then once you finish iterating, you might want to launch the concierge and start ramping up the traffic. So we typically start at something like 5% traffic, and then we gradually ramp it up to full traffic. And so here you're seeing that there are ways that you can monitor, how many people are actually talking to concierge, what are the conversation, what are they actually saying. So this report button over here, I'm going to expand it, can show you example data such as, how many conversations you're having per day, and what can we learn from the user? For example, what is the feedback they are providing? Is it positive or is it negative? And you can look at things like number of turns. Are we having lots of turns for conversation or less turns? And whether or not what is the user intent? Are they kind of just here doing this part discovery, or have some of them be moved down to the conversation or conversion stage? You can also look at some of the top products that are recommended, and that will give you a lot of insight in terms of what is the customer looking for and what is actually being recommended and what is the most popular thing that the user is discussing. So these are all very important product data that is going to help you further, very important for testing and ongoing improvement that can help you further fine-tune the concierge. So yeah, so thank you for the time to look at the brand concierge demonstration, and thank you.
Thanks, Cecily. That's exciting, and we got there, demo gods and all. But really excited about up-leveling that experience on your own properties. So the last demo that we want to share with you is to share the enhancements we've made around optimizing your workflow. This is an area where both the business gets the benefit, but you get the benefit as well. I've talked to many of you, and the number one thing that we often deal with is the tech backlog. All the things we know we could do better, opportunities for improvement, but we just never get the time to get there. So Adobe this year announced both Adobe Sites Optimizer and LLM Optimizer, helping you with your brand presence, but also looking for opportunities to improve the performance of your site. Think of it this way. For your off-site properties, the LLM experience, where your consumers show up, LLM Optimizer helps you make sure that your brand presence stays up, you're showing up for the right queries as people are interacting and asking questions. How do you make sure that the results include your brand, that you get mentioned, that you get cited? But equally, when people come to your site, you want to make sure that the site is performing well, not just for SEO, but also the actual conversion, moving through the site to get to that ultimate conversion event. Now, I've been doing a number of enhancements in this area, but let's bring Deck onto the stage to bring it home with the last demonstration. Welcome, Deck.
All right. Thanks, Mark. See if we can see the screen here. All right, perfect. So just to do a quick recap here. So AEM Site Optimizer and LLM Optimizer, they close the loop, right? They optimize your site for speed, quality, and now AI-driven visibility, all within your existing Adobe workflow. So let me show you. So what we're seeing here right now is the AEM Sites Optimizer's dashboard, right? So this is essentially showing your site's health, opportunities, and optimization impact. So each of these opportunities that you see here, it's a fixable task pertaining to performance, SEO, security, accessibility, and content optimization opportunities. Site Optimizer also uses a very basic framework, and we'll see that in action during the demo here shortly. It's auto-identify, auto-suggest, and auto-optimize, right? And for the developers here, the main goal really is to clear these performance backlogs so we have more time to do cooler stuff, right? But we want to stay in control, essentially. So let's take a look at the opportunity here. We're going to focus on web performance. So essentially, these are pages with core web vitals issues that's affecting user experience and site performance, right? When we click on this opportunity, we see that framework in action. So Site Optimizer is identifying the page, as you can see here, with core web vitals issue. When we click on suggestions, let's click on this one here, we see the AI-generated recommendation to fix that issue, right? We also see a few more details, right? Description, implementation details, as well as impact. But most importantly, if I scroll down here, you see the AI-generated fix. As you can see right there, it's very prescriptive. It's code-level recommendation. So this is usually where I get the oohs and ahs. So let's do a quick recap of what happened here. So Site Optimizer is looking for high traffic pages, right, with core web vitals issues. And then using AI, it would generate a suggestion to fix that issue. Then it would do a simulation testing, and then recheck the core web vitals again to make sure that there's improvement. The one thing important note to mention as well, that all these issues are mapped directly to your source code, right? To your project's GitHub repository. So as developers, we know exactly where those code fixes will live. So let's go back to the screen here. Site Optimizer doesn't force a single workflow from a deployment perspective. It meets the developer where they are at, right? So we have a bunch of options. You can select Slack for collaboration and alignment with your team. You can create a Jira ticket for sprint tracking and planning. You can also, right here, you can download a patch directly, so you can do some local testing and updates. But most importantly, I want to show you guys is this GitHub option. So when you click on the GitHub option, what Site Optimizer is doing is it's generating a PR, or generating a GitHub issue in your GitHub repository, right? So let me show that to you quickly here. So let me refresh that. Make sure we get it, so it's right there. So essentially, a GitHub issue bridging that optimization fix with your development workflow, right? So we want to make sure that all these optimizations are tracked, viewed, and versioned against your code base. So essentially, from here, you can just simply go through your normal development workflow. And once approved and merged, you can then use the normal CI/CD pipeline for deployment to production, so you can see the improvements right in your production content, right? So that's it. Essentially, that's the whole flow. So now that we've seen how we optimize the code behind the page, we want to make sure now that our content is citable and visible by AI agents. So we're going to do a shift here. We're going to pivot to Adobe LLM Optimizer. And we're going to start with the brand presence page here. So this is really an interesting view because it shows you how your site is viewed by AI agents, right? And this visual representation really reveals what platforms like ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Gemini can see and can't see on your web pages, right, on your site. So you can see the gaps, you can act accordingly, so maintain that visibility. So just like Site Optimizer, LLM Optimizer also surfaces key opportunities for improvement. But before we dive into one of these opportunities, let's call out one of the problems that we're trying to solve with LLM Optimizer. So this right here is our demo site, the Fresco coffee page. You probably have seen this, guys. So the way people are finding content now is changing, right? So AI tools like ChatGPT and Perplexity, they're the new front doors, right? If these AI tools can see your content, can cite your content, your brand, like what Loni was saying before the keynote here, right? Your brand will never be part of the conversation. So it's a big problem, right? So how are we solving for that? So let me show you. So we start with this really awesome Chrome extension tool. It's called the LLM Visibility Checker by Adobe LLM Optimizer. Essentially, this tool will tell you exactly how much of your web content can be seen and read by AI models. And why does it matter? It matters because AI-driven searches and chatbots, for example, they will cite your content even without a single visitor visiting your site, right? So if these LLM tools can see key content, you lose that visibility. So clicking on detailed analysis, you see the citation readability score right on top there. So you can see how much of your content can be seen by AI agents. And most importantly is this view here, the agent view versus the human view. So it compares what your users can see and what the AI can see. So you can see the gaps, right, and fix it accordingly. So the question now is, how do we fix it? So let's go back to LLM Optimizer. Again, you see this familiar dashboard like Site Optimizer, right? And also the same framework, identify, suggest, and optimize. So let's click on one of the pages here. So this exactly is what we're looking for, right? You see the current status, and then what the post-optimization would look like. So you're seeing some of the changes that LLM Optimizer is suggesting to make sure that your content is now more visible to AI agents. So big difference right there, as you can see it. So just like Site Optimizer, you can deploy these fixes directly from the application. So with LLM Optimizer, if I click on this deploy optimization, it will deploy all these content fixes and changes directly into the CDN. Yeah, so there you have it, folks. Site Optimizer, LLM Optimizer, together Together, they optimize your site for speed and now for visibility in this new AI age. Most importantly, not tomorrow, but today. This is happening now. So thank you, guys.
Thanks, Deck. That was amazing. So if you're like me, I look at this and go, wow, this is really going to speed up my day-to-day work. We are just getting started with the amount of innovation coming out of our teams. But look at what's coming up very shortly. The new AEM Agents will be in your hands by the end of this month. We have new products like Brand Concierge that's coming as well. Sites Optimizer, LLM Optimizer already available with ongoing enhancements to Commerce and more. You'll see some of the new Commerce enhancements coming shortly in the new year in addition. So look out for these announcements. Love to hear your feedback and work together to enhance these. Now, we're only just getting started as far as the detail. These are the key announcements, but now we get into more detail around the meat into the actual innovation.